Hey guys, it's maiphammy here, and today I'm going to be doing a very long awaited and requested video that I've been avoiding, and that is why I moved out at such a young age. If you guys don't know anything about me, hi. My name is Mai. I live currently in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I moved out when I was 15 and I'm now 16, but I turned 17 December 5th, basically 17. And the first time I moved out was when I was 15 last year in May. I've been living without my parents for about a year and a half now. You guys have been through the whole process if you guys have been here that long, and everyone's always been asking like, where's your parents? Why'd you move out? Are you emancipated? Is it legal? And did I buy a house? And why do I keep moving so much? And all that stuff, and I'm here to answer all the questions today. And I've been avoiding this for so long because I just didn't feel like it was necessary, but it's been getting to the point where all my comments are about this, and I understand why, because even you guys that have been supporting me for so long now are just starting to get confused, because I get it, it's really confusing since I'm so young and there's so much going on. Okay, I guess to start off, last year in May, so I think it was May 2018 was the first time I moved out, and I lived with my friend for around a month and a half, 2 months I'd say. I think 2 months, and before that I lived with my parents all my life, all the way up till then. But I was just super unhappy, and obviously, you know, kids are unhappy and blah blah blah, and you guys are probably thinking, well, you should have just moved out. I was just so mentally drained, and I haven't really talked about this that much. I've talked about it in a couple of my videos before, but if you guys don't know, I used to be depressed. And no, I'm not just saying, I used to be depressed just to be, you know, trendy and stuff like that. Like, no, I used to be really like mentally unstable and depressed, and being in the house just wasn't good for me. My brother and my sister didn't live there anymore, so I was just alone all the time, and it just felt terrible. And it just got so bad that I needed something to change in my life. Like, it was getting to the point where I didn't go to school anymore. And if you guys were following me when I posted my first cleaning my room at 2 a.m. video back in 2017, my room would get messy because I had no motivation to clean it. It wouldn't just be for me to be trendy and, you know, have a messy room to be a relatable teen. Like, no, my room would be messy because I would have no motivation to clean it and stuff like that. Now, as time has gone on, my cleaning my room videos are just like for fun now. But before, it like used to be serious. My room used to be so messy because I had no motivation to clean it. Going off topic, it's kind of cool for me to see how my life has changed so much. I decided to move out with my friend, and I lived in her basement, and I absolutely loved her family. I love her mom and everything like that. They've helped me so much. I lived with her for about 2 months, and during those 2 months I slowly started to get better. It's just nice to have something change. You're not sitting in the same bed every single day and stuff like that. If you guys don't really understand what I'm talking about, I think you really have to go through like depression, I guess, to understand how hard it is to get motivation to do things and stuff. So when you have like a lifestyle change, it's really nice because you gain a little bit of motivation back to, you know, restart everything and get your life going again. So I did that, and during that time I barely posted because, you know, I was still trying to figure out what was going on in my life and stuff. I then decided to move to Edmonton, which is about an hour and a half away from my old town, which is Whitecourt, and that's where my parents live. I still talk to my parents during this time and everything, but I was like, you know what, I need to get out of this town. Because also, if you guys live in a small town, well, my town wasn't that small, but if you guys live in a town, you guys know how like restricting it is when you can't drive and there's nothing to do. You literally just have no motivation. And especially for YouTube, the things that I wanted to do, like most of the content that I'm doing now, I would not be able to do if I didn't live like in a city, because all there was to do is entertain you guys just sitting in my room. But after a while, that gets boring. I decided to move to Edmonton with my sister, and my sister lived in Edmonton at the time, and she still does, but she lived in Edmonton, and she decided to move out of my cousin's house and rent an apartment with me. I get a lot of questions on who's paying for my stuff and everything too. I just want to let you guys know it's all my money. None of it is my parents. When I lived with my friend, my parents were still paying for my stuff, obviously, because my YouTube was barely even started. I think I probably had maybe 100,000 subscribers, and I wasn't making enough money to, you know, be financially stable. But once I decided to move out, though, I was financially stable and I was paying my own rent. It was only $600 a month, so with YouTube I was making enough to pay my rent. So I decided to move in an apartment with my sister, and we split it half, which was $600 each, and that helped me so much. And I still talk to my parents, and it was really nice to be able to live on my own. I've always been quite an independent person, and I don't want to say that I just moved out just to be like all the other YouTubers who, you know, are trying to grow up really fast. Like, I had to do it for myself. Also, I just want to say that you guys have no idea how much like I am sad and cry that I don't get to do the things that my friends are doing and do things that normal teens are doing that I'm missing out on. But obviously, I'm super appreciative of what I was given and the opportunity to be able to do this, because I know a lot of people wish that they could, but sometimes I do get sad and I do realize I grew up way too fast. But honestly, I'm just thinking, if I was living the life I was before, I don't really know if I'd be here. And it's not just me, like my brother moved out when he was 16. I moved out just to better myself. Like, it wasn't to just get my own apartment and do all that stuff, but it was for myself. After that, I noticed I started to become a lot more happier, and even though I didn't have my friends and stuff like that, doing this all made me learn a lot about myself. And I feel like when you find yourself, you're a lot happier, and it made me not rely on people, which was really nice because I got to learn a lot about myself, like I said. And during this time, that's when I went to public school, and then I dropped out of public school. That was a whole different mess. I'll link that video down in the description box below. But I traveled a lot once I moved out. I went to Bali, Hawaii, Los Angeles. I went to Bali again, and I went to Europe for a month, and I've done so much solo traveling. Like, I went to Europe for a month by myself, then I went to Bali by myself, and at this time I just turned 16. So then I started to get more money on YouTube, and as I did, I decided to get a different apartment. Kind of really wish I didn't really, what's it called? I think it's like life or inflation or income. Something inflation. So basically, the more money you start making, the more lavishly you start living, which I kind of regret that mistake, but it's something to learn, and I'm glad I learned it when I was younger now instead of when I was older. So I started making more money, and I decided to get a different apartment with my sister. It was a lot nicer. It was like double the price in rent though, but I'm really glad I did that. I don't regret it though, because it was an extremely nice apartment, and it was like one of my dream apartments, and I'm glad I got to live in it for a little bit, but it's time to move on. But the first apartment that I lived in for 6 months, it was super dark and it was super cold. There was no light that got into it. There was no furniture in the living room. It just wasn't a life that I wanted to live. I was ordering skip the dishes and stuff like that every day. I was never cooking, and I was just so unhappy in that apartment. It was so dark, and I couldn't drive at the time, so I just kind of stayed in my room all day and I did nothing. And at this point, I was still getting out of depression. It wasn't bad at all at this point. It was kind of whatever. It was more seasonal depression, I guess. And also just want to mention what I meant by this was, like, at this time it was only just like seasonal depression. If you guys don't know what it is, search it up. It's just like when the seasons change, especially when it gets colder and you're not getting as much sunlight and stuff like that. It just happens. But before, it was more like depression and suicidal thoughts, so that's like a whole different thing in my opinion. It's just with my experience. So then I decided to move into my last apartment, and that was one of the best decisions I've ever made. Aside from the whole money part, it made me so happy. I was living on White Avenue in Edmonton, and you guys don't know what that is, but it's basically like one of the busiest streets in Edmonton, but not like busy with like traffic and everything, like busy with pedestrians. There's so many cute shops and food places and stuff like that, so it really motivated me to do things and go outside and, you know, do YouTube and stuff. There was so much light coming into the house, and it really helped me. I really enjoyed that place, and that place really motivated me to do things. I don't think I've ever been so happy since I moved into that apartment. I was still living with my sister at the time, but a lot of you guys don't know that since I was like 13 or 12, I used to want to live in Calgary so bad. Like, that was my dream place to live, and I live here now. And I used to come here to Calgary by myself when I was 14 on a bus, 14 and 13, on a bus to Calgary all the way from Whitecourt. So that was like 5 hours-ish. I used to bus 5 hours from Whitecourt to Calgary by myself, like get like a hotel or an Airbnb, hang out here, and literally just explore the city by myself, which is absolutely insane for me to think about that I was 13 and 14 doing that. Just want to mention, my parents weren't letting me do this. I would just tell them I was going to a volleyball tournament, like an away volleyball tournament, and then I would sneak off for a weekend, which I was a really bad kid. I could have been out like doing drugs or something, but it wasn't. I was going to explore a city. As I said, I've been a really independent person since I was young, and I was just raised to be that way. And it's just like experiences in my life and things that I've gone through that made me that way. I've wanted to live in Calgary for forever, and I was like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of Edmonton. So I was looking at houses and stuff like that, and I went and I looked at I think 11 or 12 different houses. I finally found the one, which is the one I'm living in now, and the rent is actually about $1,000 cheaper than the rent in my last apartment. So yes, I'm living in a way bigger place, but it's a lot cheaper. Just the location of my last apartment and everything about it was what made it so expensive. So just because I'm living in a house doesn't mean I'm like richer or anything like that. I kind of realized that I don't need much, and I think the max that I was willing to spend on a house was 1,900 Canadian, which is like conversions. I'll put it on the screen. So I'm trying to restrict myself from, I literally forgot what it's called. I think it's like life inflation or something like that. I'm trying to restrict myself as much as possible. And, you know, I could have gotten a lot nicer of a place, but I don't need it. By the way, I don't mean that this isn't a nice house. I mean, like, I obviously could have spent way more money on rent and gotten like ideal countertops and ideal cabinets and have a better view and like be in a better location and have a garage, but I chose not to have those things because it's not necessary. And if I'm just renting this place, it really doesn't matter. I would rather just save a little bit more money than have something ideal that I would only be living in for like less than a year. Just renting this place, I'm not buying this place. I signed the lease by myself. It's actually legal to sign a lease in Alberta if you're under 18. And I know that might be a shocker to you guys, but I did a lot of research, and if it's a necessity like food and shelter, they'll let you sign a contract if you're under 18. I just want to let you guys know that I didn't have anyone co-sign or anything like that. Like, I also didn't buy this place. Also, I know I'm gonna get questions on why I'm not buying a house, because rent is like basically a waste of money. It's because I'm under 18 and you can't legally buy a house until you're 18, and you need good credit and stuff like that. But I think I'm gonna buy a house next year under my parents' name, because I have to do it before like December or something, because the insurance company gave my parents money since our house burnt down. Yeah, I know a lot of you guys are confused. So yes, it is legal for you guys to sign a lease if you guys are under 18. You just have to find the right person and prove to them that you are capable and responsible of paying your rent and being a good tenant. I think that answered everyone's questions. To sum it up, no, I'm not emancipated. My parents are still my legal guardians. I pay for everything by myself. Yes, it is legal to sign a lease by yourself. My parents aren't rich, and I've worked for everything by myself. Like, everything in this house I own and I bought with my own money, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for supporting me, because it means a lot. And in another video soon, I think maybe my house tour or my room tour, I'll be giving a couple things away. Let me know what you guys want down in the description box below. I think I'm just gonna do some AirPods or something simple, but let me know. I have no clue. I hope you guys understand, and I hope you guys aren't so confused now, but we'll see. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I read every single one of my comments if you guys don't know. And yeah, until next time, peace.